Freddy Fazbear training tape number 4. In this tape, you will learn how to distinguish the normal animatronics from the... Let's get started. Which one is the normal animatronic? Correct. Number 2. Which one is the normal animatronic? Correct. Number 3. Which one is the normal animatronic?
Why are you hiding?
In today's video, we are talking about basically the end of Five Nights at Freddy's VHS tapes. So I'm sure the FNAF VHS tapes need absolutely no introduction. Every single one of you has probably seen at least one of the FNAF VHS tapes made by many talented, very talented FNAF creators. There are many different styles and even lore people have created of these own tapes, and they're all just extremely talented. So a brief rundown, in case you don't know, is basically a whole bunch of fans. It kind of became a trend to create lost FNAF VHS tapes. VHS tapes of either training logs or things that happened at the pizzeria, you know, showing off different FNAF lore and people's like different skills with editing and animating and all that other stuff. And a lot of these tapes became extremely popular, getting millions of views per video on these short 2-3 minute FNAF video tapes, basically trying to replicate old VHS tapes from the 80s that are kind of now found footage, adding a bunch of digital effects, mostly animating the whole tapes to make them look like old FNAF pizzeria locations. And honestly, they were made extremely well. I don't know about you, but I absolutely loved watching the FNAF VHS tapes. They're some of the scariest and coolest things that the FNAF community has ever created, and I absolutely loved watching these, and I'm sure you did too. Even big YouTubers such as Dawko and other YouTubers reacted to these VHS tapes. I mean, Game Theory even made a theory on some of the FNAF VHS tapes. They got so popular, and people were really creating dozens of these videos, again, getting millions of views each, and then they kind of stopped. But why did they stop? And then people tried to recreate them and reproduce them, but they were always worse and lower quality and just not as good as the original FNAF VHS tapes. So what happened to them? Well, the original creator of the FNAF VHS tapes that kind of started the entire trend of FNAF VHS tapes is known as Squimpus McGwimpus. I think that's how you say their name. It's very strange. They made the very first batch of FNAF VHS tapes, basically a fresh idea at that point. FNAF has always, you know, kind of had a VHS association since it was created in the 80s, but no one has really made high quality FNAF found footage VHS tapes like Squimpus McGwimpus has. These tapes were absolutely just amazingly made. The quality they put into these videos was so good, and a lot of these tapes were extremely creepy, even for the older FNAF fans. They gave you a little scare, and creating some memes that these are so popular, such as like the William Afton criminal meme. These were absolutely amazing VHS tapes, and then Squimpus kind of just stopped making them, which was very sad but also a little surprising. I believe they said, and now I'm not 100% sure on this, but they felt like their series has come to an end. They made enough lore on it, and they were kind of done. They didn't want to create any more of them, but people were happy. You know, a lot of the tapes they made, they thought were very good, and, you know, again, they weren't making them specifically for anyone. They were just making them because they wanted to, and, well, they got a lot of popularity out of it. But people were still hungry for more FNAF VHS tapes. So, this other creator, named Baddington, basically reanimated Squimpus's VHS tapes and made their own, which most of them were somehow even better than Squimpus's original tapes. Of course, Squimpus had the original ideas and everything, but Baddington took the tapes and made them even better. So, they took the tapes, they reanimated them, made them more spooky, made their own tapes to throw in there as well, adding their own bits of lore to this FNAF VHS timeline, which just made it extremely cool, and I felt like there was a growing community around just the FNAF VHS tapes themselves. But then it seemed like there was some sort of falling out between the two, because then apparently Squimpus didn't want Baddington remaking their tapes anymore. They apparently had issues together, and something something or other happened. Well, they basically had to stop reanimating Squimpus's tapes, even though they sadly did not get through all of them. But that didn't stop Paddington. They continued to make their very own VHS tapes, putting tons of high quality effort into these tapes, just making them honestly amazing. These VHS tapes, now with Paddington's own story and lore and characters, were still just as good as any other FNAF VHS tapes. And then a ton of other creators, even the FNAF Plus guy, the guy who's made the FNAF Plus game, made FNAF VHS tapes for his own game. There was tons of different FNAF VHS tapes being created by tons of different creators. But then, because so many people were creating them, the quality and views in both of them kind of dipped. People saw that this genre was getting millions of views as they looked at only the highest quality videos such as Squimpus and Paddington, and they thought that even if they just made the VHS videos, not putting as ton of effort as they did, they would get the same views. And because of that, so many creators trying to do this kind of watered down the market, because then there was tons more VHS videos, people would watch them and they go, they're alright, and they'd kind of lose interest in them over time, creating a decline in views because there's too many FNAF VHS videos, and people aren't as interested because the quality and story of so many different channels, having to, you know, kind of keep track of all the lore on different channels, it was too much, and, well, people did not want to do that just for some silly YouTube videos. So, people kept creating these FNAF VHS tapes, but all of them kind of became lower and lower in quality, and they weren't as spooky or scary anymore. Of course, there were some very nice standout ones, which, you know, of course, stood out compared to the rest of the FNAF VHS tapes, but a lot of them weren't that great and watered down the market of the FNAF VHS community, which made them kind of less desirable to watch. And then sadly, because of this, the big creators who are creating these very high quality FNAF VHS tapes would kind of go less noticed than they normally did, because there were so many other FNAF VHS tapes. People really didn't know which ones were the super amazing ones and which ones were kind of the mediocre ones, so they ended up stopping watching all of them just entirely, because they couldn't tell what was a high quality video, what was just an okay FNAF VHS video. So the views of all the FNAF VHS videos just decreased, and then the people putting in tons of effort for these videos decided it wasn't worth it to continue going, so they stopped making them entirely, which was very sad, and that's why we really haven't seen any FNAF VHS videos in quite a while. It's been definitely a good while since we've seen any one single YouTuber create absolutely amazing FNAF VHS tapes in a while. Of course, over the past kind of year, there definitely has been some creators creating very good FNAF VHS tapes, so of course, I recommend you check out every single person I mentioned in this video. Even though some videos are definitely better than others, they're all still putting tons of effort into their videos, and they deserve recognition. So throughout the video, I put credits to every single FNAF VHS video I used, so make sure to go check them out to see what it's all about. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video on the FNAF VHS tapes, because honestly, I love the FNAF VHS tapes. They're so special to me, and I really love how spooky they are compared to the rest of the FNAF fandom. So, of course, check out all the other YouTubers who I mentioned who do the FNAF VHS tapes. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that stuff for the YouTube channel. But yeah, and I'm sorry I said that too many times. And I will see you all later. Good